Okay, Ford Mondeo radiator replacement. This is a 2017 model. We are going to get some covers off and work out a plan of action, which way we're going to go. So we're just going to take this cover off, take this off, make some room. We'll have a look underneath and drain our coolers as well. Okay, so we've just taken the bottom panels off here. We've just undone this intercooler hose. That's just to help us get up to the drain, which is up in there. Just a note, when you drain it, it doesn't drain out the bottom here. It actually goes out the side. See that tube? So it's going to shoot out that way. We can see here that we have a bolt-on panel running along underneath the radiator, so it's looking to me like we're going to come out the bottom. But yeah, we'll go to the top now and see what we need to do up there. Okay, so we've just taken the cover off the front here. We do have these two screws here, one there, which we may need to undo down the track to release the radiator. Not sure yet. Then we're just taking the airbox out. So if you take the top off, the bottom, if you just pull it forward, you've got these two bolts undone. Pull it forward just to get this one out will allow you to release the bottom one, get that out of the way. Okay, we've got a hose going in here. We've got plugs here for our fan. We have got an oil cooler down under here that we're going to need to get the lines off. That might be an underneath job. And then over this other side, we are going to undo this hose here. Okay, that's going to take with it this line that goes over to the oil cooler and the bottom hose as well. Okay, just taking that one off there. Cool, so we're going to get those off, just start freeing some stuff up. And then we need to work out disconnecting our aircon from the front, which we don't know quite what's involved yet. If we can, we'll try dropping it with the radiator and then undoing it part way, but we'll just see what happens. Okay, there's also a 10mm bolt just down in here, holding the aircon line to the radiator. We're just going to undo that one now while we can get at it, just in case it's hard to get at later. We'll get that one out of the way. Cool. And we've just undone this pipe from here, this little clip. You need to pull the tabs out and gently pull it out. Be careful with these because all this plastic stuff is real common for breaking. That comes down to the top of our radiator from here. So we're just going to carefully let that come with the radiator. Okay, and then with our oil cooler lines over here, I've just undone from the fittings here. Okay, it doesn't look like it's going to siphon out the trans. It's dripped a bit of what was in this unit. But what we can do is just plug those holes too, so that they don't keep dripping. But because the pipes have to go up, it should be alright. They shouldn't actually siphon the fluid out like some of them do. Okay, we are just going to remove this panel now and basically see what happens, see how much movement we get, see what's going to hold us up. It's still possible the front's going to have to come off this, but we're just trying it this way first to find the simplest way to do it, because this is the first one we've done. Okay, so we've just got our transmission jack just supporting the bottom of this while we work with it. I've taken this bottom panel out. You've just got to push these mounts through as they go and unclip these guys from along the front here. Intercooler off this end to get it out of the way. Intercooler hose off the other end as well. And then we're just going to see if we can drop this now as a unit. We've got our aircon lines up this side. I've also undone the boost sensor just above that aircon pipe there, just so it's not going to pull on that wire. And we will undo the pressure switch on the aircon line there too. You can see just up there. less wiring to get pulled on, so that plug is off now as well. Okay, and we're just gonna start carefully dropping this and expecting it to tilt as it comes down, but everything's going to come down as a unit. Radiator, aircon, condenser, intercooler all together. Okay, so just up the top here again, I've just undone this mount bolt for these aircon lines too, just to give them a little bit more movement before any strain comes on them. Okay, so we've reached a point with this where coming down, it's stopping on the fan shroud and this oil cooler here. So it's really tricky to get that pipe off, but there's a pipe up in the top here, okay, which just has an 8mm bolt holding it in. There's also an 8mm bolt holding the top of this on. Okay, and then an 8mm bolt in that bracket just there. Okay, so once you get that undone and the one on the pipe there, you can pull that pipe out. It's quite tight, but you can pull it out. And then with the 8mm bolt out of the top of this cooler, it will tilt forward or backwards that way, and then pull out of the bottom nuts. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to undo our two coolant hoses going onto it, and that'll mean we can pull that right out of the way, because our other oil cooler line we have undone the top. Okay, so now with that cooler pulled right out of the way, we can come down a bit further. What we're finding is that these oil cooler hoses, so that's for this oil cooler on the front here, are going to get in the way, so we're actually going to unbolt that while it's at this point. So just 4 bolts basically around here, and see if we can get a bit more movement on that to get those pipes out of the way. Okay, so what we had to do here is just undo the mount and that mounting bolt for the aircon bracket here. There's another bracket comes around here that's in the way, so take that bracket off so we can clear the pipes, and now we have got that oil cooler completely off the front. Next we're going to remove the intercooler here, and then we're going to remove the aircon condenser and leave it hanging in place. Basically, we want to just separate out our radiator and fan and drop those two out. Okay, so that's intercooler off now. That's pretty simple. And these plastic blocks that are at each end, you can see the notches and slots. You just got to twist them, pull them out. Okay, now we can see our aircon condenser bolt just there. Okay, and we've already undone the one on the other side, and then the top is just slotted. So once we get those undone, it will lift out of the radiator, and then that's just gonna basically swing down a bit, stay out of the way while we drop the radiator and fan. Okay, so basically that aircon condenser has just stayed where it is. You've just, as you drop the radiator down, you've just got to tilt it a bit to get these brackets to clear. Otherwise they'll sit on top of that aircon condenser, and then basically just carefully work it out. Make sure all your delicate pipes and things are free on the way down. You're not going to get caught up on anything and break. Okay, so from here it's fairly straightforward. We just change over all our hoses, fan, radiators, radiator fan, sorry, wiring, all of that stuff that's not on the new radiator. We're going to change it over, and then we're just going to put everything back together in the reverse order. Cool. So we didn't need to take the front off. I don't actually think you would get any advantage on taking the front off, because if we look at the bumper reinforcement there, it is actually a welded part of the frame that doesn't unbolt. If that unbolted, then yeah, taking the bumper off might give you some advantage, but because it doesn't, I really think you'd be wasting your time taking the front off. It wouldn't really help you at all. Yeah, because even if you take this bumper off, like the bumper skin, the steel brackets behind it are still all bolted in from the back here. So yeah, you're really not going to get a lot out of the way. Okay, so we've got all our stuff now changed over onto the new radiator, ready to go in. This is our old one here, and you can see the stain marks here. This thing was just very slowly over time losing coolant. And that's why we're doing the radiator, because there's a very slight leak there somewhere. Also these bottom mounts, you can see they've got this lip on them. So that's why we leave these with the radiator, and then to get them off, a pair of long nose pliers, slide them under and pry them up, you'll get them off. Just chuck a bit of rubber grease on here, push them back on. I'll put a bit of rubber grease on this O-ring as well, just to help it go in and not get too dry. Okay, also don't forget to put your rubber top mounts, and don't forget to change those over. Okay, but we're ready to go back in now, so basically reverse order. We'll go up as far as we need to get that aircon condenser bolted on the front, and then the intercooler, then the oil cooler, and basically just doing everything in the reverse order now. Just take note too of this connection, that you get it on the right side of that lug. I think this is the right side, to hold that up in the right place, just because it can only turn to where that flat is, and it's very hard to get that to once it's in there. So yeah, hopefully that's the right way. We will find out. Okay, so as we go up here, that small pipe is going to have to feed up on the front side of the aircon lines, so that the aircon lines come down past the back of it, so that it ends up at the right place. Okay, and then when we get so far up, we're going to just come up. You want to make sure this doesn't get caught up and broken, so we're just coming up so we can pull it into the right position, which will be coming through here, because it's going to come up to here. Cool. So we're just using the ladder to get up to this. Okay, so now we've fair way along, so we've put the oil cooler back on, intercooler on, oil cooler on. When you lift it up from after doing the intercooler, once you get that back on and you're lifting it up to put the oil cooler back on, you need to feed the front end of those oil cooler lines up into here first, and then just work them around the steel frame here to get them to go up in there. Okay, and then our oil cooler is back on, bolted at the top, pipe bolted in the top, coolant hoses back on. You want to put them on before you bolt it up, just so you've got room to move it back and make it free. These two hoses we will send upwards. Okay, and then basically we are just gonna lift it up now. We'll put our intercooler hoses back on and our two plugs over this side. So we've got this one for the pressure sensor and the aircon pressure sensor there, and then we can put our bottom frame back on. Okay, so now our bottom frame is all back on. We just sprayed a bit of silicone spray on these to help them pop through on the way. Intercooler hoses are back on, back mounted up here. Just another note too, when you're lifting the radiator into place, you don't want to be jacking it up with your transmission jack or whatever you're using here. You want to lift it by hand and then just bring that up to support underneath. So you're never forcing it up with this at the risk of breaking something. If you're always pushing it up by hand, you'll feel if anything gets in the way and stops it. And then yeah, just bring that up to meet it, just to support it. Okay, but now we are heading back up top. I'm going to send these lines up through there, and then we're heading up top to reconnect everything up there. Okay, so up here we've got our trans lines reconnected. Just make sure the ends of the pipe still have the little O-rings on them, that they haven't fallen off somewhere while they're being moved around. So make sure the O-rings are on, and then those are in there. Top hose, okay, top radiator hose on, radiator fan plugs in. This hose connected back up here. We have put the bolt back in our aircon pipe mount. We are going to, so just another note too is, don't forget this aircon pipe bracket that bolts onto the radiator. Okay, don't forget to do that guy. We are going to put this hose from this junction on here from the bottom hose. Okay, we're going to reconnect that here, and then we're going to fill with coolant, which is an orange coolant according to auto data. But yeah, just check your listing, because I believe that may be getting changed away from the orange to another colour. But if you're changing from orange in the system to another colour, you need to flush it. Okay, but yeah, we'll fill it up. We're going to pressure test it while our airbox is still out, and then once that's all okay, we're going to put the airbox back in and drive it. Okay, that's basically all you need from us. So if you are looking for radiator replacement for a Ford Mondeo 2017, 2018, 2019, this is the 2 litre Ecotech motor, or ecoboost motor, then that's the video for you. Bit of silicone spray on the points on the airbox will help it go in, and we're going to refit this cover here too, which by the way you don't need to take off. We didn't achieve anything by taking that off, but we were just having a look really. But that does not need to come off at all, so don't worry about that one. Pressure test has come up fine, and then we're just driving, re-checking for leaks, and then covers back on the bottom. Okay, I hope that has helped you out today. Don't forget to click the like button, and also click the subscribe while you're there. We've got a bunch of diagnostic solutions and tips and tricks for professional mechanics like ourselves, and also for the serious DIYers at home. So click that subscribe and the bell so you get notified, and we will see you in the next video.